All right, what's up, everybody? I wanted to get on here and drop another little video. Getting ready to head out on a run right now, and one of the things I've been talking about, I know I posted it recently about understanding movement and posture, and I also talked about the fact that I take a lot of walks, especially with Xander. We go out here and we'll take these long walks, and if you haven't caught on to that, that's something that I've traditionally been doing. Usually 4 or 5 days a week, I go get at least a half-hour walk. Kind of a power walk. I really focus on my mechanics. Even some of my clients and patients will see, in their home exercise programs and whatnot, I'll add, you know, a brisk walk, and I tell them to really focus on practicing their walking mechanics. Be very deliberate about what you're talking about, and in a relatable to the posture and movement. Basically, walking and running are two of the best things that you can actually do for your posture. And a lot of the stuff that we do with the sports muscle technology system and at the physio gym is designed to basically allow you to get the most out of your running and walking mechanics without doing more running and walking. It's kind of like the art of, overtraining without overtraining. So, and it's kind of, again, that art of physical therapy. We're going to add that volume and repetition and those functional movement patterns, but we're not going to, increase the impact like you're going to see, especially with running early on. So it's something that, we can adapt or adopt in our lives, in our functional lives or physical lives, to try to work on things that are going to improve our mechanics and our body, postures and positions, while we're not actually doing some of the more strenuous activities. But those strenuous activities, especially like running, they force us to get into better postures. One of the biggest things with running is you have to, kind of elevate your chest, pull your shoulders back, lift your head up. And as you're, moving along, your torso really helps to absorb some of the impact, especially with your arm swing mechanics. That's one of the reasons why we swing our arms. There's a great article, if you guys want to look it up. I think it was by, it's Zorn is the guy's name. That is Why Do We Hold the Arms Up When Running, and it's all about the myofascial system, and I talk about that in my Zoom webinars. And on the other lines of this is, I know I've been talking about all these healthcare statistics as well, and I think it's a really interesting thing. When I first got into PT, one of the first things that I learned was that running was not considered an activity of daily living. And it's also one of the reasons why I continue to keep trying to run, because I don't want to end up being a person that can't run. Most people, I don't have statistics on this, is if they live long enough, they end up getting to a point where they can no longer run efficiently or effectively or for, significant distances. And they lose their ability to absorb impact. And a lot of that, again, has to do with the posture and the quality of their movement, as well as past injuries and just overall deconditioning. I really have a belief that if you keep practicing things, that you should be able to do them across your lifespan. There's plenty of examples out there. And another funny thing I think about every day, every time we walk out the door and I'm with Xander and we're going to go hop in my car to go to the clinic, or go to Chick-fil-A or wherever we're going, he takes off running. So how is running not considered an activity of daily living, especially, when you're younger, you run all the time. And then at some point, I guess the healthcare system just says, we're not going to consider it an activity of daily living. So you think about, especially with what I do, returning athletes to sports, most of the time that our physical therapy insurance benefits get cut off before we even get into the running phase. So we don't even have the ability to practice that part of it sometimes, because the insurance system doesn't recognize that activities of daily living, considering that most people should be able to run. You look at the book Born to Run and all these other things. Humans are designed to run. And I also believe, coming back to all of this that we're talking about right now, is that not running really disrupts our movement and our mechanics of our body, as well as our physiology. So adding some running, and especially just walking, there's no reason why we can't get out and take a brisk, intentional, purposeful walk and focus on our walking mechanics, to get some of that benefit. And I would say the same thing with running, right? I tell this to people all the time, and I've been joking around about this. People come off of ACL injuries and Achilles injuries and whatnot, and they maybe never ran before in their life, and the first thing they're starting to do is, hey, when can I run? When can I run? Right? And I always find that to be so funny. But if you're going to run, you want to think about practicing running. One of the challenges that I see with a lot of the runners that I work with is that they end up, say it's a 10-mile run. Once you get 5 miles out, here you got the whole other 5 miles to come back, and most people, with the time crunch and everything, they're not going to say, okay, well, I'm going to walk a mile. My mechanics are now breaking down, right? The further that you run, the more likelihood that your mechanics are going to start breaking down. So, freaking bee. That's funny. And if you guys know I am not a big fan of bees. So again, if you're going to go out and run or walk, you want to practice those running mechanics and basically, make sure that you're being efficient. When we look at speed training, this is where this comes from, is that you want to make sure that you're running with the best mechanics possible or walking with the best mechanics possible. If you get fatigued, you end up practicing bad mechanics. You end up practicing awkward, slow movements where you're not absorbing impact and your movement economy is getting poor, and all you're doing is practicing at getting slower. So again, thanks for listening. I appreciate you guys. I hope you found that little bee situation kind of funny, and I'll see you later.